Welcome to Legit Fantasy Basketball. It's April 26th. I missed the previous show. King Michael hosted in my absence on a Monday night. I will explain why, because apparently I am not as smart as I think I am when it comes to feeding myself. That said, I'm going to get the two other guys in now. We'll kind of get right into it. So, Brother Ray, welcome to the show. Missed you last week. How you doing?
Pretty good, Genius. Nice to have you back. Hey, man, Parasite, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the movie that won the Oscars 2 years ago, not this year.
No, yeah, exactly.
I'm feeling better, though.
It's unbelievable. And speaking of better, Coach TJ, welcome to the show. Good to have you, of course.
Good to see you. My goodness.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, I basically food poisoned myself by eating moldy crackers. And I've shown the pictures to a lot of people because it's actually embarrassing how much mold was on these crackers. But I lost 15 pounds in about a week. All I did was sleep and work because I wasn't going to miss any work time. So I was working like 8, 10, 12 hours and sleeping 8, 10, 12 hours. And it was just awful. But I am back and I'm ready to talk basketball. So if you guys are up for it, we'll get right into it.
I love basketball and all, but this is important. I never heard that. I didn't even think a cracker could be moldy because it's so processed. I figured they would last like through the apocalypse.
That's what I thought too. And they were like pepper seasoned, so I kind of let it go. But when you look at the picture, it looks like they were blue cheese seasoned. I'll just kind of leave it at that. And absolutely awful. Horrible night, horrible 10 days, but I'm kind of got my energy back and I'm ready to go. I will tell you this. You guys know me. I didn't make a bet in 2 weeks because I couldn't even – yeah, exactly. I couldn't concentrate enough outside of work to even make a wager.
Did they give you your last rites? I mean,
yeah.
You didn't have to make a wager. Oh, my God.
Exactly. It was absolutely awful. But, again, yeah, it was – yeah. So don't mess with mold. Although I am selling the rest of the crackers as the Genius Cap diet plan. So if you guys are interested, or anyone else watching the show – wants to drop some weight quick, just reach out.
Love it.
All right, gentlemen. So I wanted to kind of keep the same format we did last time. I want to get your opinion on some of the games since the last show. So the last show was on Thursday. So there were actually a couple of games on Thursday night, and I want to like, is this like? And I go through all the scores, and I look at some of the box scores, and I try to figure out, do these games mean anything? And on So last Thursday, there's two big ones that jumped out at me. One, Boston beat Phoenix 99-86. Obviously, low-scoring game. I don't think Jaylen Brown played that game. Most of Phoenix played. Does that mean anything? Like, is that a positive sign for Boston? Is Phoenix in trouble, or is it a false flag?
I mean, my vote, it's a false flag. I mean, it's in Boston. It's a tough trip for Phoenix to go to Boston anyway. I think Phoenix is a legit team with a bad night. The Celtics have they do this every now and then, and this is part of being a 500 team. Is they'll look like a legit team when they beat a good team, and then they'll back that up by losing to a bad team, and that's how you end up being, where the Celtics are, like a 4 or 5 seed. So yeah, no, I don't think it's a statement game by Boston by any stretch, and I don't think it's a statement by what Phoenix is. But, from a Celtics point of view, every win matters right now because they're trying to get a home seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good things and some bad things out of that win. I mean, it was interesting to see them win in an ugly game. Wasn't like a high-scoring game. But I will say with the NBA, any given night, like that term on any given night, never has it been more applicable than now with the current NBA, where you see just teams flip-flopping, and there's just no rhyme or reason to it.
All right, yeah, I think I can agree. I think I can agree with that. I kind of have high hopes for Phoenix, so it was a little bit of a surprise, for me. But I think I agree with you guys. The next one though is going to be near and dear to your hearts. Thursday night, Phoenix loses to Milwaukee. 76ers lose to Milwaukee 117-124. And they, and we're going to talk about Sixers Milwaukee again. because I actually played them twice in the last 5 days. But what do you guys kind of see on that one? Because I know you're Sixers fans. I know you were kind of hoping that they make it out of the East.
Well, that was like my biggest fear coming through right there. So Philly's been great all regular season. They've been the 1 seed from pretty much opening night until where we are. It looks like Philadelphia is the 3rd best team in the East. When you see Brooklyn playing the way they are, and these 2 games to Milwaukee, where Milwaukee basically kept Embiid in check, and that's really the key to the whole game plan against the Sixers. So not a good sign. Those 2 games, as opposed to the Boston game, that really does mean something come playoff time, is how those 2 teams matched up. And that 3 seed or 2 seed where Philly ends up is not going to be good. Not going to be good.
Yeah, this game, I mean, they had Embiid. There were no excuses. Yeah, okay, Simmons wasn't playing, but we've seen them be able to regroup without Simmons, not so much with Embiid. But Milwaukee, they're just the better team right now. I mean, they're really gelling right now. You can see they're firing on all cylinders. That's a pretty good lineup with a really good bench.
It is. And there's 2 things. One, they come out, and Philadelphia is one of the best defensive teams in the NBA all year. Milwaukee comes out and scores it felt like they scored every time down in the first quarter. It really did. And then when they come in with the second unit and Bobby Portis wants to pretend it's like 5 years ago and he's going to drop 20, it was very discouraging. Very discouraging.
All right. Yeah.
No, we lost somebody. Ray, carry on. Lost for a second. He'll be back.
Sure, he'll come back. Yeah, I mean, the thing too is that second game, I mean, that wasn't even close. I mean, obviously, it's a different lineup there, but more of the same. I mean, to get beat that bad, even without Embiid earlier in the season, they were able to at least win some of those games or at least be competitive. Wasn't even competitive.
Didn't you feel like the first game, getting out of the first game, going into the second game, they were already felt like the air went out of their season? It really did. It felt like, okay, we're not the 1 seed anymore. This team just outplayed us tonight. And then they go into the second game, and yeah, you're right about the lineup, but that was a no-show. And that's not encouraging.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious how it all plays out, because I also think kind of Milwaukee was making a statement. They spanked them twice. So okay, cool. So that's Thursday. So that was a pretty big Thursday. Friday I had 3 on here, and I think I had Celtics Nets because the Nets handled them 109-104, and I bring it up more just to get your kind of opinion on the Nets overall. Like, it almost seems like it's a kind of foregone conclusion that they're going to make it. That they're going to make it out of the East at this point. I think they just kind of toyed with the Celtics, and that was that.
I mean, I'm a little biased. Recency bias is an actual real thing, right? So
yeah,
me right now, I feel like Milwaukee. If I had to put my chips down, I would put them on the Bucks. What scares me about the Nets is that Durant just come in off the bench the other night and get 30. Like, they have so much talent. They're so loaded. Did they toy with Boston? Yeah. Jason Tatum goes for 38. So that lets me know that the Nets weren't like dug in on defense, but they have as much talent, and I don't think they have enough time to gel, but I don't know if it matters. And we had talked about it on Monday's show, right? This is bad for all coaches that talk about chemistry and gelling and becoming one unit. If Milwaukee can just if the Nets can just throw this shit together in the last 3 weeks and go on a finals run, it kind of dissolves an awful lot of that chemistry argument that teams have had for years.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that game that they won. I mean, they had no Durant. They had one of the big 3. They won that game with Joe Harris, Jeff Green, Landry Shamet, Bruce Brown. And Blake Griffin even had double digits. So when you see contributions like that, that should frighten everybody in the East.
It really should, because there's no weakness. Their bench would not be as bad as the Pistons. Like, their bench is not bad. Those guys come out that you just named. That's a legit team. If that was your team, man, you're not a great team, but you're a team. They can play all out. They don't have to worry about fouls. They don't have to worry about rest for stretches of the game. They're dangerous. My only concern with them is when they are all playing, because you said it again, they didn't have the whole big 3. when they have the whole big three, and now a guy like Joe Harris's minutes are going to get cut down to like 11 a game. How does that click? And it's going to come down to coaching to see if they can keep all that in check. But the Nets and Bucks showed well this weekend.
Yeah, TJ, I was like, as a coach yourself, like, how do you think the coach of the Nets is doing this year? Because there's that whole thing where Kyrie at the beginning of the year kind of disparaged him a little bit, but I mean, you think he's kind of just got it on autopilot, or is he actually coaching?
He's definitely coaching. I think it's almost a blessing that these guys have been hurt as many times as they have, and all these different rest days and all that, because it's almost easier when you have that much talent to play with two guys, as opposed to playing with three guys and trying to have to feed all three guys. And I think what Miami did when they had LeBron and Bosh is Bosh kind of just went to be the third wheel. And it was almost like a given because LeBron and Wade were so superior. I don't think the three net guys have an obvious third wheel. I mean, my brain tells me it's Kyrie, but Kyrie doesn't think it's Kyrie. And if you think it's Harden, well, Harden doesn't think it's Harden, and it can't be Durant. So he's kind of – the real challenge is going to be when they're all together, how do you distribute shots, minutes, and play calls? And that's going to be the real test.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. You look at what they're going through right now, Brooklyn, and they're kind of resurging. And then you look at like in the West, where the Lakers, they got a piece back in Davis, but you got Schroeder pretty much talking to the press saying our chemistry isn't where it needs to be, and they're all looking to when LeBron comes back. Like right now, they know that they're just stuck in this limbo. But as each piece comes back, Davis is back now. Once LeBron comes back, I think they're going to be stronger for what they're going through right now. Schroeder has stepped up. A couple of those players have stepped up, but they do have some things to work out. But Brooklyn right now, if they can figure that dynamic out with those three, they should take the East.
You know what's crazy is it's not like they have a coach like Spoelstra or Popovich or Phil Jackson. They got like a first-year coach who was playing against these guys 15 minutes ago. So that's got to be a really strange dynamic where we went from Steve Nash was guarding Kyrie like a couple years ago. And now it's like, okay, but now you have to take my word for it, how we're going to delegate shots. I wonder what the respect level is.
Yeah.
Situation, because it's so when I went from being a player in college, my next year out, I was a coach. That was the year I never talked. And imagine how much I talk, but it was kind of weird because you were my teammate last year. So I'm not going to yell at you to put your effing hands up. Like, it's just, we don't have that kind of coach player relationship. We're friends. And it's great to see it at this level. I'm curious to see how that works out.
Yep. Exactly. That's kind of what the perspective I was looking for. Cause it's really going to be interesting when the playoffs come around, when like the decisions all matter. Okay. So the next one I had, and I wrote it down mostly because it's the Nuggets. So it's Golden State beat Denver on Friday night, 118-97. Now, I only bring it up because Denver's been playing really well after Murray's injury, and they dropped that one. Maybe that doesn't mean anything, but I guess I'm more curious on both of your thoughts on the Nuggets without Murray and kind of how they are they still legit, or are they kind of just like going to end up getting bounced because they can't keep up?
Ray, you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I'll go first. I mean, they need Murray. Murray he basically drives the engine there. They're not the type of team, I think, that can recover without him. It just throws everything else off. I mean, Jokic now will try and take the ball up, and it's just a different team. They're not the same team without Murray. I just think it affects them dramatically.
I agree. I think they were kind of stuck either way, even with Murray, because I don't feel like they're as good as the Clippers or the Jazz or the Suns or anything like that. But what really hurts them, and this team screams first round and they're out. They're going to be the 4 seed. I don't think the Lakers can catch them, but I also don't think the Lakers are going to drop. Like, I think this is the floor for the Lakers is the 5. So you imagine me in Denver, you just lose your leading scorer or second leading scorer, and now you're going to get the Lakers in the first round, who LeBron. One thing about LeBron, he knows how to get to the finals. Like, they're not going to take games lightly. They're going to go in there. They're going to be businesslike, and I feel like Denver, a mix between their own injury and then the injury of the Lakers, really hurt them a lot. And it just screams, C and 5. It really does.
All right, cool. All right, so so the last one I had wanted to bring up on Friday because it's another team that's like I think completely fading, and I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are on why it's happening. Is like Memphis put up 130, beat Portland 130-128. Now Portland's in a bad way right now, and I don't exactly know what happened. Like I got sick for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden Portland can't win a game. And I guess I'm kind of curious what you guys, I don't know if that particular game really matters that much, but what do you guys think about the Blazers?
I can't figure it out. They were inconsistent early in the year, but you would think with that backcourt, like they're going to win just on the talent of those two guards alone. They have a problem over there. I don't know if it's a coaching problem. I don't know if it's they definitely need a third guy problem, but I thought they were going to be much better. Then I thought they were going to be worse. And then they got hot. It's been a mysterious team all season. If you're in the Portland market and you're betting on that team, God bless your heart, because it's impossible to figure out. But right now it looks like they're in a free fall, and it's hard to think. It's hard to think a team that's guard oriented can turn it around in the playoffs and like go on a run. I just don't see it.
They lost 5 in a row. I mean, 5 in a row. Like it's just, we talked about this the last show. There's got to be a coaching issue because a lot of the games that they're losing are very close games. At some point, as you said, Coach, you got to right the ship. Those situations you got to be able to play your way out of because you've been in there and at least coach your way out of. They're not able to do that.
Is there like an issue with Lillard and McCollum? Like, do you think those two can coexist? Does one have to leave? Does one have to get shipped out of town?
They've been coexisting for a long time. I mean, those two have been together for a long time. Their problem is they never put a third guy with them. And I feel like, I hope it's not that, because I like the two of them together. They got a good thing going there. But let's be honest, Portland is not a place where you're going to go get another guy like Lillard. So if you ship out one of those two guys, you're almost in the same boat as the Celtics are, where you're not a desirable place to go, Portland, per se. I mean, especially since you've been burning your city down for like a year. So why the hell would anybody go there? But if you get rid of McCollum and you get rid of Lillard, I think it's more likely Lillard would stay in because he's getting a super uber max deal. What are you going to replace him with? And they're never going to be bad enough with those two to get a lottery pick. So now you're almost pretty much just running in sand. My move for that would be to keep those two guys and then go and find that piece wherever he is and then just trade the house for him.
Yeah, I mean, I like McCollum. I think McCollum's really developed over the past couple of years. He used to be just a points guy. He'd get you points. Wasn't really an impact defender, but he's gotten better. His game has gotten better. He has the perfect temperament to play with someone like Lillard. You know, he accepts his role as the number two. Again, like you look at Brooklyn, like we talked about earlier, it's not always the case. I think they work well together, but like TJ has said, they just haven't built around those two.
All right, cool. All right. So that's Friday. The only thing I had on Saturday, you guys might have not have that much more to add to it, was the Bucks handling the Sixers 132-96. I think you guys kind of talked through the Sixers. I don't know if you want to add any final comments there, or we can move on.
No, that was just a no-show. That's really just a no-show. Disgusting.
Okay, so two on Sunday. One it's the Celtics, because we got to talk about the Celtics. Of course, it's we're Rhode Island. Hornets 125, Celtics 104. Obviously, Brown is back. Tatum played. Like I can't stand this team. Like I don't like this team as much as I hated the Kyrie Celtics second year. Hated it. This team I just don't like, though. Like I don't even know if I want to talk about them anymore. I don't know if it's worth expending any energy on them, because I don't think they're going to really make any noise.
No, I don't think they're going to make any noise. My question is, are they going to have to play in the play-in round, which would be a hoop?
Oh.
At some point, it came up in my Facebook memories today where I was taking shots at Brad Stevens in 2018 for being overrated. They've had less wins in 2019, 20, and now 21. So they're in the wrong direction in every possible measure. Why he has this much job security, I don't know. Like, I really don't. But this Celtics team right here, Miami's about to pass them, and the Celtics might end up in the play-in round. And I don't want to hear about how none of these guys can be traded because they're too good. There's no bench. And outside of Tatum scoring 38 over the weekend, it's really just been a bunch of garbage. It's tough for their fans. Got to be.
It's great also in that game to see Rozier get 21, 11, and 5 and lay that on Danny. Like,
Yep.
hey, you know what? We talk about Coach getting a lot of breaks. Danny's getting he's gotten one too many mulligans. At some point, you know, the Boston fan base has got to come down on him.
And I'll tell you what, I almost empathize with general managers who miss on draft picks, especially mid-late in the first round. But when you actually nail one and then you ship them out of town, that's like stunad right there. Like, you kept Marcus Smart instead of this Rozier. Rozier is better than Kemba Walker right now. He is better than Kemba Walker right this second. And yeah, Danny. I feel like Danny and Brad. Maybe the Celtics ownership is one of those groups that don't really care if they win, as long as people are watching. I don't know, but it's shameful.
Yeah, I was going to say though, Kemba Walker seems to be putting up decent numbers as of late, but it's still like there's just nothing there. It's weird when you watch them play. Like, you know, like the like synergy. They have the exact opposite of synergy. Like the whole is less than the sum of the parts. That's so frustrating to watch.
Good way to put it. And Kemba's been putting up numbers, but he's not the Kemba he was in Charlotte. Like, he's not explosive anymore. Like, he can get where he wants a little bit, but he's not like dangerous off the dribble anymore because he's all banged up.
Can't play every night. I mean, what good is a player if he can't play every night? I mean, we talk about this all the time. There's guys like that they're not. You can't count on them to be in the lineup, and that translates to the players. They see him putting up those numbers, but they don't know if he's going to be there, you know, the next night, or if it's a back-to-back, he's going to take a rest day. You don't know.
Yeah. So as much as I hate talking about them, I think we're gonna keep talking about them the whole season because they're so frustrating, and but I can't stop. I can't stop paying attention. It's terrible. All right, last one. This is another Nets game. Suns 119, Nets 128, and I just think that was a very good game by Brooklyn. Put up 128 against Phoenix, and just I think they're really gelling right now. I think Brooklyn is coming on so strong. And they don't, obviously we talked about the chemistry with kind of their big three, and they've only played like 7 games together, whatever. They're going to kind of have to figure that out. But watching them just like take care of teams is it's like kind of a sight to behold because, they're taking it seriously now, I think.
Well, they just,
I mean, Kyrie and Durant both scoring 30. I mean, they showed up and they just laid it to them. When you see that, that's scare you. So you wonder, like, if Harden comes back, how does that affect that? But they both scored 30. That was a really, really good sign for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's funny thing about NBA guys. Like, it's funny how Blake Griffin looks bouncy again. Like,
yeah.
He caught a dunk the other night on the fast break from the wing in transition. I haven't seen that guy fill a lane in like 3 years. But now, all of a sudden, Blake is bouncy again, and he's like an integral part of this team, off the bench. Again, Durant comes in off the bench, scores 30 points and change in 20-something minutes. There's really no one that can guard him. And, when he gets it going, you can't really guard him. The other thing, between him, Kyrie, and Harden, they don't miss free throws. So when you get into that nip and tug, grab and hold playoff game, you foul Durant. That's 2. You might as well let him take the damn layup. And then the same thing with the other 2 guys. Whereas if you look at teams like Giannis is not special from the foul line. We know this. You can foul Ben Simmons pretty much whenever you feel like it, and it's a jump ball at the end. So they have a lot of even little things about that team. It's like perfectly constructed. I just hope they don't figure it out till next year because I got a feeling like next year is the year where they go ahead and try and win 70 games.
All right. Yeah. Like as much as we all hate it, we hate the super team thing. I will say I do want to watch the 3 of them play together. I'm going to watch it as much as I hate the fact that they did what they did. But cool. All right. So those were the games. So that takes us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I tried to kind of get a little bit of a range there, talk about a bunch of different teams. I don't know if either one of you guys want anything else you want to bring up from Thursday to now, or you want to jump right into the next segment here.
No, I do want to bring something up. The Knicks have won.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Coach. The Knicks, baby.
The Knicks. Tom Thibodeau, like they got to build a statue of this guy in like Springfield. He gets a team. I don't know what he does. He gets a team to play so extremely intense and extremely hard, and especially in this NBA season, which has been let's just say, not assured that you're going to get a good night's performance. The Knicks have been playing hard. They're outworking everybody. We talked about it in the preseason show that he might beat the hell out of Randall, and he has, and he rode him too many minutes. But the Knicks are the 4 seed right now. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at the pieces. I mean, Barrett is playing lights out. Randall, lights out. Like Coach said, I mean, he's doing something Phil Jackson could not do in New York.
I mean, they're beating Phoenix right now. Like, this is exciting. Give me some Knicks.
What's the score?
They're up. They were up 9 before last time I glanced at it.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, cool. All right, so we have to look. I'm gonna have to pay a little more attention to them because I still have like that bias that the Knicks suck, and I'm gonna have to watch a little more of their games in the future. Kind of get them into that box score conversation.
So hard, they go. It's fun to watch them. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. All right, gentlemen. So for the next thing we'll talk about the remaining games tonight. There's only like 2 games that will tip off after the show ends, so we'll hit those. But first, I want to talk a little bit of fantasy basketball playoffs. So for that, we're going to turn it over to Brother Ray because is one of the other legit guys who claims to have had the best team in your fantasy basketball league. And yet, I believe he just got bounced, or he's on the verge of getting bounced. And his claim is that the rules are the problem, and you guys should be able to change your lineups more. But I guess, brother, how do you see it, and how is your squad, and which would you be looking for in the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, genius. Yeah, let's talk about fantasy basketball. The league that King is mentioning. It's interesting.
I didn't say King. I didn't say King.
You didn't say King? Oh, okay. This fictitious person that you're talking about.
We all know.
Maybe it's a Bigfoot. I know you guys were talking about Bigfoot the other night. Maybe Bigfoot owns a team. Anyway, this team lost to his brother, his younger brother, in the semifinals. Yeah, so I think that's why, then all of a sudden this post came out about how the rules are wrong and that it's really frustrating. Wait, can I read it? I can read it to you guys.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
the post. Yeah, just no fun at all. Moving forward, we need to allow roster changes on Mondays and Thursdays. They're starting a team, then finding out they are all out due to injury, COVID. Doesn't make sense. And it just goes on. And it's funny because we've been playing with the same rules all year.
Wait a minute. You all have the same rules?
All have the same rules. Very interesting. Very interesting take. You know what? He did have a good team. He was the 8th seed. Now he was the 7th seed, by the way. So he had a good team. Wasn't always
lineup. Give me a 30. The way this has been playing out in my head is that he was the 1 seed by about 20 games.
That's what I thought too.
He was the 8th seed. How good was his team? How many people were in the league? 400? There was 10 guys in the league? He finished 8th.
His record was 61, 62, and 3.
What?
For the season.
He had a mediocre team with some cool names, I guess, is what he had. Come on, King Mike. Can't wait to get him on Thursday. He had me thinking, seriously, it was like the Randy Moss Patriots, and he lost to the Bengals, and it's because the rules were different. Now, he was an average team. He got bounced in the semis. He's lucky he got there.
I will say, though, on paper, he has a really good team. I blame the coach, okay? But that's just me. Okay, let's look at his lineup. Russell Westbrook, Anthony Edwards, Darius Garland, Kawhi, Ben Simmons. Who else has he got? Joel Embiid, Vukovic. Adams was out injured, but, I mean, he does have some talented players. So I will give him credit for that. I think it was the coach, and that's probably the number 1 reason why he's not in the finals.
Not able with that.
Where I will be facing his younger brother.
Oh, so you made it through. So Jesse was the 1 seed?
Oh, Jesse was the. Let's see. Jesse was. I was the 6th seed. He was the 7th seed.
Okay. All right.
If anyone's got to complain about the rules, it ought to be those top 4 seeds that are nowhere to be found when the money's getting dispersed.
All got bounced. Every single one of them.
Bounce. All right.
That's the NBA this year, gents. So I guess fantasy playoffs right now, if you're still in and you still can pick up players, like we lock, once the playoffs start, we lock our transactions. It's not fair somebody picking up a player that's going to change the scope of things. But I mean, right now, players like Tyrese Halliburton, if he's available in your league for Sacramento, go out and grab him immediately. He should not be on the waiver wire. Other people that I really like right now, I like Bruce Brown and Landry Shamet. If you need some added scoring, they've been getting play with the big three not there. So there's someone you can look at. Rondo is actually getting some play now. He's back. I know it's crazy, but if you need something in the finals and you need some production, he might be someone you could grab. Marvin Bagley, the third, is coming back. He's supposed to play this week. So if he's still available and you're not in the finals yet, I would grab him. Dorian Finney Smith has been playing well. Isaiah Stewart, Cole Anthony, someone I really like with Orlando. So those are the guys right now that if I had a chance, I would go out and grab. But definitely Tyrese Halliburton, if he's there, you got to go get him. I don't have to mention LaMelo Ball. If for some reason somebody cut him in your league, which is crazy, please let him be the first one on your list because he's probably going to be back next week.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. All right. So apparently you're in a league where everyone follows the same rules, and we have an 8th seed complaining about some unfair disadvantage with a 500 team. I'm actually upset that you had to go through all that.
Yeah, that's not even show worthy. That's not even show worthy. Yeah, I was under a different set. Right, Kev? You thought he had the best team in the world.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like you said 60, like basically 60-60 or whatever. I thought it was going to be like, knowing it's 120 games, like 101, 19 and something, and he got like just completely upset because of some bullshit thing that he was subject to. Wow. I think we're gonna have to revisit this on Thursday, Coach. I think that's we're gonna have to. All right, gentlemen. So I apologize for taking your time on that. If we weren't live, I'd edit it out. But anyway. We're moving on to tonight's games. So there's only two. There's actually a big slate tonight, but most of it's already in progress. So last time we got lucky, there were more late games, but right now there's only a 9 o'clock game and a 10 o'clock game left. So the 9 o'clock game is Grizzlies at Nuggets. Nuggets are favored by 4. Over under is 230. You got one of you guys want any perspective on that one? I'm not a huge fan of either one of those teams. We talked about the Nuggets. I have been following the Grizzlies a little, but what do you guys think?
That's a tough game to call. I mean, to me, I'm going to take the Grizzlies and the points because Valanciunas is playing tonight. I do believe if Valanciunas is playing tonight, he can lean on Jokic. He really can. He can make him work for everything. It won't be an easy night for him. Valanciunas is a big, strong man. Of course, you never know what you're going to get with Memphis. They're almost in that Portland category where it's hit or miss. I try to avoid them when I can, but there's only 2 games tonight, so you might as well pick, right? So I would take Memphis and the points.
I agree there. I would take Memphis with Ja and Valanciunas, who's on my fantasy team. Didn't have him last week. I got him back this week, so I'm very happy to see him back from his concussion. Portland is reeling right now, and Memphis won. They beat them on Sunday, so I think they can come back and do it again.
All right, so you guys go both Grizzlies getting the 4.5. All right, cool. I don't have a strong lean on that one. I like the stuff I look at has it almost as like a toss up, both the line and the over under. So I'm gonna stay away from that one. But I do have some thoughts on the next one. So Mavs versus Sacramento. Right now the line is Mavs, I believe, -5. Mavs -5. Oh, sorry, a jump. Mavs -6.5. Over under at 225. So that one I got them earlier. I bet Dallas -5.5. I don't know if I would bet it at 6.5, and I hit the under at under 225.5. What do you guys have an opinion on that? Either way.
Yeah, there's 2 things. One, that the line moving up in that direction is good because here's why the NBA is so hard, right? So we're tipping off in what, an hour for this game?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Here are the 5 guys that are on the injury report that we don't know who are going to play tonight. Porzingis, Redick, Richardson, Doncic, and some other guy off the bench. So to me, when the line moves in that direction, it means that somebody knows that some of these guys are going to play, if not all of them, which is cool. And then we know for Sacramento that Bagley and Fox are out, and we know it's Sacramento. So to me, that you made a good bet tonight. That's the direction I would go in. And I think Dallas win by double figures. Unless Doncic doesn't play, then all bets are off.
Yep, exactly. Brother Ray, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree there. I think Dallas is definitely the pick. I mean, you know, especially if Luka is playing, and from what I've been reading, it looks like he's going to play. So if he plays, I think they're definitely the pick there. Sacramento does have Holmes back, so that's good for them. But I don't think it's going to be enough.
Then again, don't forget, a couple of weeks ago, this matchup happened, and we all took Dallas, and then Sacramento.
Yep.
So you never can tell. But to me, it feels like a safe bet tonight.
Yeah, basketball's tough. It's like a volume game. You just gotta keep firing it out there, and like hopefully long run you have you beat that 50.
You can have your $100 that you bet on the weekend. Like in basketball, you can't do it like that. Like you gotta play. You gotta win to win. You gotta play. It's not like football, one game a weekend and think you're smart.
Yep, exactly right. You gotta fire it out there. All right, cool. So unfortunately, those are the only 2 games tipping off after the show ends. So we'll leave it at that. So if you can still get the Mavs single digits, probably worth laying a wager there. Like I said, I'm gonna do the under because I hate myself, and watching NBA games and trying to bet the under is like a very good way to self abuse. It's awful because they don't play defense and everyone's hoisting threes, and you're like, and I'm constantly on my phone, like with a calculator app, and projecting out if the scoring pace stays the way it is, what's the total going to be? It's like, again, like I always say, it's a good way to buy a sweat.
That's really isn't football betting the under in football is the same. You spend the whole game looking at the clock on the bottom right of the screen. Like, I know what they're doing. I just need this clock to end. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's like I don't care who wins. I don't care. Like, just don't score. Like, just.
I'll only do it on a game in the NFL. I'll only do it on a game I'm not going to watch because I just can't sit there and watch time go by. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. So, all right, gentlemen. So we got about 20 minutes or so left. So just kind of some big kind of news topics. We're about 3 weeks out from the from the end of the season. So playoffs are kind of like a real thing now. And like the first thing I want to throw at you guys is like, have we talked about this a little bit over the course of the year. And I'm kind of curious, like, have we just been like, marking time because it's still going to be the teams we thought it was going to be, and like the Lakers are going to come out, it's going to be Lakers Clippers battling it out in the West, and Denver's going to fade without Murray, and like the Utah nobody's taken seriously, and on the East it's going to be Brooklyn, Philly, and like everything else has just been like kind of filling time throughout the season. Or do you guys believe in the Suns? Do you believe in some of these other teams that are making a little bit of noise?
Well, for me, there's two separate playoffs. The way I'm looking at it, I'm excited that the Wizards caught fire. Right, the Wizards are on fire right now.
Yep, they're
going to get into that little mini tournament, that little set. What is it? The 7 through 10s. The Wizards. I'm looking forward to seeing the Wizards. I'm looking forward to seeing the Celtics and Heat. Kind of in the bottoms of the bracket will be some good basketball games to watch, but. Then after we get done with the appetizer, then when it gets down to it, there's 7 teams that can win this tournament, 4 in the West, and then the 3 in the East we talked about. Everybody else is just going to kind of go to the side, and then we'll get to see, who the best team is. But I don't think anybody from those other 7 can disrupt the tournament the way Miami did in the bubble. I don't think that can happen in 2021.
I'm interested to see Golden State, folks. Right now, Golden State's in. That's pretty. It's a remarkable turnaround, and the way they've been playing lately. Again, and I think you said it before, Coach. You see shades of the last couple of years when they had a dynasty. Curry right now is playing just as good as anybody ever in the league. So they're going to be interesting to see in the playoff tournament.
Did you see? Did anyone watch SportsCenter this morning by chance? They were doing the thing where they do this all the time, where the guys they're going to show you all Steph's makes, and then they're going to put the little dot on the floor where he shot from. Where he's shooting from right now is like half court in a high school gym, and he's coming down, just taking one-handers, runners. He took one last night. He just decided he was going to take a step back from where he was, and he was already too far to reach. And he's automatic right now. If you're right. If they get hot, and they got to have the right draw, so they have to do. I haven't done all the math on it, but if they can get Phoenix in a second round, they could beat Phoenix. Like, because Steph can just go for 50, and I feel like he really can do that. But do I think they're going to beat the? When they get up against the heavyweights, no. And even though Phoenix has a good record, they're not a heavyweight. But you're right, Steph's got a couple more years left in him. He's not going to get worse at shooting.
And they're not reading the headlines. That you know what they're not looking at the standings and going, well, yeah, we don't have a chance to get up. They're going to keep playing, so it's going to be interesting.
And that's go ahead.
No, so brother Ray, one of the things I was listening to today was actually about the Warriors, and they had to slam Wiseman. They're playing much more efficient lineups now that Wiseman's out for the year. Like, that guy cannot get any love and no respect, and I don't get it. I don't get it. It's crazy. But sorry, Coach, what were you going to say?
On the new kid, so with these adding playoff spots, right? It made the Wizards actually must have looked at their calendar like Major League, right? Where they come in and stop peeling the things off. And it's like, if we can win 10 more games, we can get in the tournament. And here they come. And then Golden State doing the same thing in the West. I do hope that the NBA doesn't look at this and say, this is awesome and we want to stick with this format. Because it always makes me nervous when they start. I mean, nice story. You're under 500. You don't belong in the playoffs. The Wizards are going to be like 6 games under 500 and have a chance to go beat somebody because they got Beal and Westbrook. But yeah, so my concern is that this doesn't set a precedent. Let's go back to the 8 teams like we had it. But while it's here, we might as well enjoy it.
Fair enough. Brother Ray, any other kind of comments at a high level? Because I want to talk about a couple of specific teams. Like, whether or not we think they're real.
I mean, I'm not sure if you're going to talk about them, but I mean, we talked about Utah probably a couple of months ago, and how everyone, we thought it was a mirage. Everyone thought it was a mirage. Everyone was just not even talking like they were, the number 1 seed in the NBA. No, number 1, best record still in the NBA. And they're, again, we're talking Lakers. We're talking, all right, who else? We're talking Phoenix. No one is talking about Utah.
Yep, Utah, Milwaukee. Nobody talks about either one of those teams, and they're both. Utah's had it turned on the whole season, and Milwaukee's playing well lately. But you did mention a team I want to hit, and TJ, you hit it. You talked about it a little bit earlier, like the whole Lakers thing. Like, Anthony Davis is back. They're trying to figure out how they're going to use him and Drummond together. They're trying to figure all that stuff out. Is LeBron's going to be back probably before the end of the season? Do they have enough time to figure out the chemistry and gel and like be able to beat a team like the Clippers or the Jazz, or is that just like have they just missed too much time, the 2 superstars?
See, this is going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because of what I said about the Nets, but with the Lakers, I think yes, because I think LeBron just runs the operation like the way your brain controls your limbs. Like, that's really how LeBron is. He can get those guys to just be on his page. They don't have to know each other. If LeBron gets you where you need to be, it doesn't really matter. So I'm not worried about them from a chemistry standpoint. Like, you don't think Andre Drummond's going to be able to get dunks with LeBron on the floor? Like, of course he is. So you got guys like Harold who are not like dependent on fluidity. LeBron's going to be the king, and you're going to shoot the ball when he gives you the ball to shoot it. Whereas with the Nets, it's who's going to have the ball and who wants to shoot it, who wants to pass it. So to me, it's 2 totally different things. I haven't seen a million Clippers games. Like, I feel like I should have watched more Clippers games as the year went on. But to me, LeBron knows how to get to the finals, and until someone checks him, I'm going to keep saying that.
Yeah, it'll probably take a couple practices, really.
Yeah.
He'll have a couple practices. He'll whip people into shape. Like
Yeah.
Coach said, there's
When I
one
think
voice
of-
on
yeah,
that team.
shut up. Yeah.
One voice. That's it.
Hmm.
Brooklyn, there's 3 distinct voices.
Yeah, and like my attitude, I don't like LeBron. I hope it doesn't work, but I can't really dispute what you guys are saying. Like, and they know this. It's not like I don't think he's a genius, but as a basketball player, he is a genius, and he knows probably exactly how many games he needs to play together to sort the whole thing out.
Well, you must not have tuned in on Thursday, because if you tuned in on Thursday, you would have heard what I think about LeBron. But for the point of this discussion, we're talking about strictly on the floor, because LeBron's a scumbag, basically. He's a race-baiting scumbag, and I hope he rips his knee open. But when it comes to playing with those guys, I think he can get the 3 of us on board with him in like 3 practices. We would know where to stand. No, really, that's how powerful his voice is on a court. Whereas the other ones, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so thinking about so the other teams in the West, you brought up the other team I wanted to hit in the West is the Clippers. Like, they seem to have kind of faded under the radar. Not in terms of winning. I'm looking at their record now. They're 43-19, so obviously they're having a great season. They're also tied with the Nets for like the most efficient offense in the history of basketball. So obviously they're doing a lot of things right. Is that? I guess my question is, with the way they're kind of flying under the radar, that seems to fit like a Kawhi Leonard, Paul George team better than having the target on their backs. But do you guys think they could actually make it out, or are they kind of a mirage in the end?
Go ahead, Ray. You start.
I mean, early in the year, I really thought they were one of the teams that were going to be there in the end, even with the Lakers at full strength. I mean, I think those two really fit, George and Kawhi. I think it's a perfect fit there. You know, they haven't gelled as much. I mean, Serge has been hurt. I know that hurt them for the defensive stuff that he does. He's probably going to be coming back soon. I hope. You know, another guy would bad back from all these years. I mean, I think he looks like he's 60, but I think he's like 31 years old. Seriously. But no, I think I think they're legit. I think they're definitely legit. I think they can play with anybody when they want to. I think that's the key. When they want to and they're firing on all cylinders, they can beat anybody in the NBA. Is that consistent? Not as consistent, I think, for a championship team right now.
You know what's crazy about them is, first of all, Boogie Cousins has 10 points tonight. So, not Boogie. They got Cousins and Rondo, and they got George and Kawhi. Can't you see them being a tough out just because they can go like veteran? Are you hearing me? Veteran,
Yep.
Veteran at you with guys that know how to play. And I think Rondo's past his. You know, he's a vet. Cousins knows what he is at this point. And when you have those two wings, and then you can give them a big and a point guard that you can trust in a big spot, just because of the amount of miles that they played, they're going to be a tough out. And you mentioned Ibaka, Reggie Jackson's a vet. The talent has always been there. Again, I said it in the last few minutes. I wish I watched them play more, but their time schedule and mine just don't always jive. I think they can get out of the West. They're one of those 4 teams is getting out, and they have as good a shot as anyone.
All right, cool. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left, so I don't want to shortchange the East a little bit. And the first thing I want to throw out there is the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't think they're going to make it out, but I want to just at least acknowledge them for how well they've played since they switched coaches. I know Trae Young got a little banged up recently, but they're the 5 seed right now. They're 34-27, which is an incredible improvement from when they fired Coach Lloyd. And I'm just kind of curious, what do you guys think of them? It could you may say, look, they're a waste this year, but they're trending in the right direction. I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I'll tell you what. The first thing is when we get Knicks Hawks in the first round of the playoff, I want to see some 80s uniforms. I want to see some Dominique and Ewing. Like, that's good basketball to me. I like what they're doing. Clint Capela has been an absolutely terrific upgrade for them. He's only 26 years old. So here's a guy that can build with Trae Young. They've got talent. They seem like they're moving in the right direction overall. And they're a young team. I feel like they're going to be a playoff team for the foreseeable future. And this year kind of accelerated that process because coming into the year, you could almost talk yourself into them being a playoff team, but you definitely couldn't have talked them into being, a 5 seed because you would have had Boston ahead of them. You would have had Miami ahead of them, and you probably would have had Indiana ahead of them too. So you might have talked them into the playoffs, but no way would anyone think that, they're threatening for a home seed.
It's funny too because they're getting crushed tonight by Detroit. Like Detroit's up by like 15, and you look at it, you're like, how? Again, the NBA, how can this be? They're down by 15, but if you look at the team, I mean, Trae Young's not there right now, but they have an interesting bench. Bogdanovich has come in, and he has not missed a beat replacing Trae Young. I mean, Danilo Gallinari, another good veteran, a guy who can shoot, put up points. They just added Chris Dunn, so he's going to get some play as well. Huerta is a great player. I love him off the bench. He's someone that can do a lot of little things. We mentioned Clint Capela. I mean, he was a great add. I thought the Celtics should have added him last year when they had the chance. And I think they blew that.
Because Capela is what they hope Robert Williams will turn into someday. So instead of – and Robert Williams is not that much younger than Clint Capela. So to me, if I have the choice between the guy and the guy who I hope turns into the guy, give me the guy. Like, this is NBA. So in the NBA, you're building a 2-year program. There's none of this build a dynasty bullshit. That's not the way the league is. So you got to get what can do it for you now. If you put Capela on that Boston team, they're right up there at the top of the conference.
That's a really good way to look at it, Coach Tuesday. I never heard that before, but if you got the guy or the guy who you hope turns into that guy, go for the guy. That's phenomenal. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so I think we talked about most of the other teams like in contention in the East, except really the Bucks. And again, like they're kind of like the Jazz. Nobody wants to talk about them, but they're winning games. Like they're not the top seed. Obviously, they're the 3 seed right now. But do you guys think they could do you think they could make it out? Could the Bucks beat Brooklyn? Could the Bucks beat Philly?
Well, we know they can beat Philly, don't we?
Yeah, actually.
We know that. So I feel like you're right, Kev. The only time we talk about the Bucks is to say, I hope the NBA gets stuck with the Bucks Jazz, so even less people watch it, and maybe they can stop with the propaganda. But from a basketball standpoint, they're tough. Giannis is that good that he can dominate a whole series. And Middleton, I don't know where people rank him, but he's been the second best player on one of the best teams for like 5 years now. So maybe he's underrated. I think that might be fair to say, even though when you watch him play, nothing he does wows you, except scoring. But yeah, no, they're tough top to bottom. Brook Lopez is tough. Drew Holiday was a great addition. We talked about that earlier. And then they come in with some guys off the bench that know how to play. But Giannis is the focal point for sure. And they can win it.
Yeah. And don't think they don't have a chip on their shoulder. Like these teams, Milwaukee and Utah, they realize they're getting no respect right now. So I mean, Giannis is a quiet guy, but there are very few guys in the NBA that are 6'10" that can basically handle the ball, dribble down the floor, and dunk on anybody at any time, whether it's coming or not. Like there's very few. I mean, he's that good when he wants to be. So, and they got a chip on the shoulder
pretty much every night. Like he's that good every freaking game. The guy doesn't take. He's like a throwback player to what we want our guys to be like. Is a badass like him. He's not friends with anybody. He's in the middle of freaking nowhere. He's not recruiting guys on banana boats. He just comes out there and works. There's a lot to like about that team. Except that they're the Bucks, and if they play the Jazz, no one's going to watch except the 3 of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll watch every game, every minute of every game, and it probably love the basketball too. All right, cool. There's one other topic I wanted to bring up, but before we switch gears to the last time, any final thoughts on the East? Like we talked about the Hawks, we talked about the Knicks a little bit earlier, we talked about the Celtics to death, we talked about the Bucks, we talked about the Nets. Any other team you want to bring up that might be able to make a little noise, or do we cover it?
I think we went through the noisemakers. I mean, did we talk about – well, here's one team we didn't talk about tonight, but I think it's worth mentioning. Miami went to the finals last year.
Yeah.
And Butler's been – Ray knows more than anybody else because he had him on fantasy. They still have Adebayo, and they still have Butler, and they still have shooters. And they know how to get there. So I can talk myself into a scenario where you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's like, well, how the hell did the Heat get here? They were the 7th seed, but they have the pedigree, and Jimmy Butler can take over a couple games in a series. I don't know if they can do it again. I wouldn't bank on it, but that's a team that the pieces are there. A lot of people had it unfair, right? We were talking in the early parts of the year. Is it even fair how good Miami is? Like, Miami's loaded. Miami's a finals team, and they didn't lose the players. It's kind of
coach, and Spoelstra is a really good coach. So you got to say they have all the elements to make that run, and especially the good coaching. You need a good coach to get through something like that, and they have it. He's a good coach.
So one of the things I used to do in tournament pools, NCAA pools, when I was like a lot more there with it, I would go grab the preseason top 25 and the early season top 25, and that's what I would use to find my upsets. Because if the talent was there that Sports Illustrated would make you the top 5 team in the country and you're an 8 seed, you probably got some talent. And I think that's kind of what Miami is right now. They're a talented team. I don't think anybody wants to play them. No, I don't think anybody up top there wants to play him.
Yeah, I have to admit, when Spoelstra first became the coach, I thought it was kind of like a Mimbo. I thought it was a figurehead. I thought he was a good-looking guy but obviously he's been there for 20 years about, and it wasn't just LeBron and Wade. So I give him a tip of the cap because he actually is a very good coach, and I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that's one of those.
And they could have the best bench in the league. They could have one of the best benches in the league. Seriously.
And that's one of those guys where they talk about how good Brad Stevens is, and you say Spoelstra's better than him, and you get like, really? Yeah, really, dude. Yeah, this is very real. Very, very real.
All right, gentlemen. So we got about a couple of minutes left, and I'm sorry, I gotta shift gears because I want to talk about Ryan Lopez, Brooke Lopez's brother, plays for the Wizards, and the only reason why I'm bringing him up is because he's a big man who actually has a post game and shoots a hook shot, which I didn't realize this, but apparently no one shoots a hook shot anymore. And it's not a good-looking hook shot. It's not a jump hook. It's not a sky hook. It's an ugly-looking hook shot. But right now, he is one of, if not the most efficient scorers in the NBA. And he's coming off the bench, and he's averaging like 10 points or something like that. But we got to tip the cap to Ryan Lopez because he's a big man playing like a big man should play, and I love it. So that's my guy. I hope the Wizards make the playoffs. The Wizards. Just so I can watch Ryan Lopez. Have any of you guys watch him? Is he a fan? Is he fantasy relevant, or is he just?
Well, first you got to know his name's Robin. So we'll
Robin. Sorry. See that? I like him so much. I'm on a more personal basis with him, Coach. I call him Ryan.
Instead of betting with the point spreads and listening to us, right? Everybody that's listening right now needs to go to their local tavern and bet $100 on who's like the most efficient scorer in the NBA and just watch the money come in.
Yep.
Because you'll get through a whole lot of bar bets before you get to Robin Lopez in that category. I think it's a cool stat. I don't know. It just might be a matter of circumstances. I don't want to get too much into it. But there is something to be said for if you have a post game and no one else has a post game. It also means that no one else is guarding a lot of people in the post.
Exactly.
So there's like a twofer there. So if I'm a stretch 5 and you're a stretch 5 and we're just going to run around like we're forwards, cool. But if I'm a post player and you got to go down there and guard me when I have multiple counters to my pivot moves, I can imagine that these guys, the few there are, have opportunities to get shots, like shots they're comfortable taking. That's the best analysis I can give. That makes no sense to me overall.
No, it makes complete sense. And actually, the one thing I forgot to mention in terms of offensive efficiency, and this is obviously silly. It's a silly thing to try to extend this stuff, but everyone loves doing it. His offense is more efficient than the Clippers and the Nets, who are going to set a record for offensive efficiency for the year. So if you just gave Robin Lopez the ball in every single possession, you'd probably score 150 points a game.
Be better than the Nets.
And it kills clock. That's what I like, because he's putting those shots up with 2 seconds left on so that's slowing the game down. So if you're playing Golden State, you're now limiting the amount of 3-pointers that Steph Curry can take. So that's like a winning percentage that keeps on winning.
I'll tell you, they would be an interesting playoff team, though. They really would. It might only be for a game, but it would be interesting to see them because when a team starts off bad, they fall off your radar. You know, there's better things to watch, better things to talk about. But that's a genius cap stat of all genius cap stats.
Oh yeah, every time I try to bring up something about some efficiency metric or something that I run across, and like that one I absolutely love because he's 7 feet, big guy. His move's a hook shot, and nobody can stop it. But yet he's coming off the bench in today's NBA, and he's averaging like 10, 12 points a game. He's had 15.
They've won 8 straight. They've won 8 straight.
Yep,
one of the hottest teams right now. Russ is out here averaging a triple-double. No one cares. Beal leading the whole NBA in scoring. No one cares. Well, I think Curry might have passed him this week, but yeah, no one cares unless you win. You know, so you win 8 straight, people start talking about you.
They're up on the Spurs.
So what? Spurs. Yeah. So Spurs are what? Spurs are 9th. Wizards are 10th. So we can. I will pull for the Wizards. You know me and Pop. We're done. That's that. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Speaking of being done, we're at the hour mark, so I think it's about time to wrap up. Brother Ray, you want to leave us any nuggets of wisdom?
Just again, if you're in the fantasy playoffs right now, it's really tough. Just try and look for the bargains. Try and look for some of the people we mentioned. Injuries usually dictate this time of year. Most of the studs are already taken. So good luck to everybody in their playoffs and their finals, and just go with your gut. You know what I mean? Like, don't make that mistake that you're going to regret all off season. Go with your gut.
All right, Coach. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, check the injury report. Like, don't wake up, have breakfast, and make your bets. Don't. Not this time of year, because when teams start getting their seeding figured out, then all bets are off about who's going to play. NBA hasn't addressed it yet. Doesn't mean we got to lose money on it.
Yeah, and lose gracefully too. Lose gracefully.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a final question, Brother Ray. If I were going to write a letter to the commissioner of that fantasy basketball league to protest a rule that only applies to me, could you help me with that maybe after the show? Let me know who I should address it to. Should I do it certified mail? How do I get my voice heard?
Unfortunately, I'm the commissioner of that league. Feel free to write it on a napkin and drop it off in my house or send a carrier pigeon. Whichever way you like.
It ain't gonna matter.
Yeah, excellent. All right, gentlemen. For Brother Ray, for the Coach TJ, we're gonna wrap up Legit Fantasy Basketball. Obviously, a production of Legit Fantasy Sports. Check out the website. This week we have the Thursday shows. We've got football. Actually, football is going to be live coverage of the NFL draft, the entire draft. So we are not going to do a basketball show this Thursday night. It's going to be the whole first round of the NFL draft live with Brother Ray, myself. I think Coach TJ. We're going to try to see if we get you on for a little while. Mastradamus, the whole legit crew will be there making our commentary on the picks. So look forward to that. And again, basketball will not happen until next Monday night. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the games tonight.